speaking with Marc Olin from EFI and the software division of that company. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by and Print 13 and telling us all about your products. You won a bunch of must-see-em awards.
Yeah, that was great this year.
Yeah.
It was a record number of must-see-ems for us.
Well, it gives you great recognition.
Yeah, we're very proud to
Tell us
receive
a
that.
bit about what some of the software things you did that earned these awards.
Sure. So actually, I brought props with us
Hey,
today. So
great.
we'll,
All right,
have a
let's
little
take a
show
look.
and tell. So,
All right.
But and I'll talk a little bit about both the software and the other part of the business. 'Cause
Absolutely.
we have a few different things at EFI. But why don't we actually start with the non-software stuff, and I'll start with my props here.
Okay.
And one of the must-see-ems that we got that I saw today won the Best in Category award was our new GS thermoforming ink, GSTF it's called. And that actually was used to produce this little thing. And no, EFI is not getting into 3D printing, so don't, that's, we're still in the 2D printing world. But what the GS thermoforming ink does is it allows you to print on plastic,
Okay.
and then put the plastic through a thermoforming process
Right.
that bends it to look like this, so that you can make things that go on the top of automobiles. or
Oh,
other
like
type
a
of
car
plastic.
carrier, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Sort of camping
exactly.
or
And
what have
so,
you.
So our Fiery software basically calculates how the distortion is going to happen when the thing's turned into a 3D object, so you still get the images to appear the way you want them to. And the ink was designed to survive the thermoforming heat process so that it doesn't crack and it doesn't distort or create other
So all
problems with the color
specialty
fidelity.
basic
Exactly,
products.
exactly. And so it's a great way, again, for, let's say, for
it's beautiful.
commercial printers to get into their version of 3D printing without having to learn a new type of technology.
That's really great.
So that was, again, that won Best in Category, so we were very happy with that. Another kind of interesting piece of technology that we're showing here for the first time ever is what we call EFI gloss control.
Okay.
And that's what these things are for. And this was developed by our Fiery team. And one of the things that that people always talk about with toner-based printers
Right.
is that sometimes it's too shiny. They want
Sure.
a more of a matte image, but because of the way that the process works, it creates a very glossy view to the product. So we came up with this technology that allows you to apply to a sheet that's been printed on a toner-based printer, like this one here.
Right.
And you saw this is the glossy finish to it.
Okay.
And this is after it's gone through the gloss control, where it applies a process to the sheet that basically cuts down on the gloss by putting some pressure on the paper in a certain way with roller, and it reduces the gloss of the finished product while still maintaining the color fidelity.
So it diminishes it a bit, but still makes it more realistic.
Exactly.
Would that be accurate?
Exactly, and you can control the level that it affects the gloss. So
Yeah,
you bring it
I can
down.
tell the difference looking at these here. They're
Yeah.
really, this is the finish, and maybe you can't really see it that closely on camera, but it's really the definition is beautiful.
Yeah, so it's another piece of interesting technology
Yes.
that the scientists at EFI came up with. This process has been around a long time,
Right.
But no one had ever tried to do it this way to really cut down on the gloss, and so that's a new innovation that we're just starting to commercialize now.
Is that something that can go and say into the marketplace with let's say more digital storefronts, that sort of thing, and web to print?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is really, web to print, of course, is primarily feeding digital printers.
Right.
And so, and our Fiery business, which is really where EFI started, building these Fiery digital front ends that sit in front of different toner and inkjet printers, is really where EFI began from. And so, connecting that to the other type of software infrastructure at printing companies is really what the software group does that I run.
MIS, digital workflow, how does that all, let's say, mesh,
Yeah.
for want of a better term?
That's
mesh.
a good question, actually, because that's an area, again, where EFI has really been investing over the last 5 years. And so our concept is that we take digital storefront, which is a web-to-print solution that allows printers to set up a storefront on the internet. And that storefront can be used to capture documents that somebody just wants to print. So someone has a PowerPoint that they want to get printed and finished, so they can upload to digital storefront, customize it to say how they'd like the finishing to happen, how they'd like the pages printed and so on. The system will price it automatically, and it'll feed it down into the business management system at the printing company. So all that pricing data and job data comes into the business management system. That management system will then estimate the costs of the job automatically, so you can understand what your expected costs are. It'll schedule it to figure out the most efficient device to run the job on, and then it'll feed it automatically to that fiery driven printer that I was talking about before. And the beauty of it is that those options that the customer selected on the front end when they first ordered the job, those are passed through the entire process. So the person at the printer doesn't have to do anything to configure the job. They just let it go through automatically. So you're saving the touches on the printer. Our scheduling software makes sure the same kind of paper is running in the printer at all times, so you don't have to change the paper stock in the printer. And then once the job is printed, the Fiery then feeds back how long it actually took to produce, and how much paper was used. So you get the actual cost for the job, you update the customer to tell them that the job is actually done, and then you can do real-time profitability analysis to say, well, we thought it was going to cost this much, here was our revenue, here's what it actually cost us, and now what's the reason why we made more or less money than what we thought.
Kind of sort of, I guess, destroys the pencil calculator business, doesn't it?
Exactly. And then
everything's on touchpad or whatever.
Exactly, and to that end, we have a great new product, and that integrated workflow, that was another one of our best of category winners here at the show that we won, and must see them, is this integrated digital workflow.
Well, I know your company does a lot in R&D, and it puts a lot of effort and resources towards that, and obviously it's paying off.
Yeah, we spend almost 20% of our annual revenue in R&D each quarter, and it's because of this, because of technologies like this that we know, for this industry to survive and thrive in the future, it can't stand still. It's only through.
Congratulations, you've kind of met it, haven't you?
Yeah. So that's what we. What we're here to do is really to change the face of the industry, and to help people switch from analog to digital printing, analog to digital processes, and help build that technology. And you were mentioning the pencil and paper. One of the other must-see-ms that we're showing here is a tool called iQuote. And this is a tool that was developed by a team we've recently, well, not recently, I guess it's been a year and a half now, but we bought a company down in Brazil, and they had been building this tool down there and never sold it outside of Latin America. We analyzed it after the acquisition and realized that this would be a great opportunity for printers around the world. And the beauty of iQuote is that it takes a completely different approach around estimating. So this is not, if you haven't gotten the job through web to print, but a customer says, I'd like to get a quote on a print job. Normally, traditional estimating systems, you'd have to go through and define all the different processes. You have to say, I want to print this many, I want to fold this many, I want to cut this many, I want to bind this many, and so on. iQuote takes a completely different approach to it. You pick the product that you want to produce. So you see a picture on the screen, you say, I want to produce one of these things, and then the system builds all the manufacturing underneath it and figures out, based upon the production quantity and the options of how you want the product produced, it'll then figure out the most efficient way to produce it and show you all the different alternatives and let you pick the most efficient option for you at the time, and then it puts that manufacturing plan into your MIS system, and you're ready to go. So it really cuts a huge amount of time out of the estimating environment, out of the estimating process. And we've had great reaction from our clients on that.
Well, great. Appreciate you stopping by, taking time out of a busy schedule at Print 13, and visiting with us here at myprintresource.com.
Thanks. And just before I end, there's one thing I think you should come over that's kind of our most science fiction product, which I didn't mention yet, and you wouldn't think of it normally at a print show. We have this thing called Smart Signs, which was another must-see-em. So if you have a sign like this, we mount a webcam behind it, and it actually records, or it looks at the people that are looking at the sign and figures out their age, whether they're male or female, and how long they stare at the sign, so you can figure out what the efficiency of a printed product is to your customers. And so, if you go up there, they'll come in, they'll see, okay, it's a man, age 45, 50 years old, and it'll record how long you look at the sign and which sign you look at. And so again, it's that kind of new concept
Sure.
of bringing return on investment to print, so that customers really understand the value of the printing that they're doing for their end customers.
Well, hopefully everybody will make it over past the EFI exhibit here at Print Show 13, Chicago.